These two boxes of Rallyman are jam-packed with possibilities, and it's my intention to highlight all of the interesting things you can do with them. This is Shakedown. In today's Shakedown, we try our hand at an overlooked motorsport discipline, the hill climb. Hill climbing is like rallying, except that you've not got a co-driver to blame when you forget which way to go. It's just you and the road ahead, and when you remember the route and don't make any silly mistakes, it can feel great to cross the finish line in a time that you didn't think was possible. And then of course, you've got to do it twice more, making sure to post consistently fast times, even if the corners start to get covered in mud or the skies open up to unleash a downpour. All the while keeping note of how you might want to tweak your dashboard in between runs to maximise its performance. There's more going on in hill climbs than climbing a hill, let's put it that way. Today we find ourselves at the Saint-Jean-du-Gard Col Saint-Pierre hill climb, recreated for Rallyman by Frédéric Rodriguez, and we're going to have some solo runs up the mountain to see how we can best go about designing a dashboard for this course. Most of the tiles come from what is now the Monte Carlo expansion, so do have a go at this course for yourself, swapping out or proxying tiles that you don't have where necessary. I'm more interested in finding out how the format of the event will play today, so we're not racing against anybody else, just the clock. The rules note that it is our combined time for all three attempts that matters, but I think the goal of fastest time from bottom to top is more interesting, certainly for solo play, so that's what I'm aiming for. Can I beat my personal best time twice? We'll have 3 attempts at the climb, and before each we'll be able to tinker with our dashboard to try and get the best out of our machinery. To make things all the more complicated, we'll be using dynamic weather from start to finish, with the forecast based on that of this year's Col Saint-Pierre climb. A sunny start, but enough rain to eventually force the running to be stopped on safety grounds. There is even spots of fog near the top, which we'll introduce in the second run regardless of the weather using the fog tokens. Our race won't be cancelled by all that weather on the tabletop, but we will have to have a car capable of quick times in both wet and dry conditions. And, should we make use of the shortcuts and end up spraying mud everywhere, a car capable of following those cuts without crashing on the next attempt, lest we find ourselves crawling through the corner spaces. So what car is most capable in mixed conditions? Ideally the one we build ourselves, because we are using the unlimited dashboards today, and for once the only limit to these dashboards that I will give myself is that 2 spaces must be filled with the 2 weather icons. Every other space is up for grabs. The fewer spaces we fill, the higher our loss of control limit, but where is the balance between too many dice and not enough? I have no idea. We are in dry conditions, but we are running a wet setup, and by that I mean that my car is at its best in wet weather, so we can't use one of our boost dice, but we do have 5 gears, 3 coast, 2 brakes and a single boost while we are in dry conditions. So let's make the most of those dice by getting all the way up to 5th gear off the start line and then coasting towards the first corner. We'll sit on the inside to give us more options, and we will go flat out to get a focus pull and hopefully a strong start. We have a flawless set of dice as we finish in 5th gear. From there I want to break down to 2nd gear, and then I want to coast out and I think boost up to 4th gear before the next corner. We could get up to 5th gear, but I think I want the option of going through the inside to give me a better run on the next corner. Do I want to go flat out on those? Yeah, a bit of a risk because there is a handful of dice. And the risk has not come off. We are currently crashing in 4th gear. I think we want to get as far down the track as we can before losing control, and that will be coasting there, getting off the red danger level tile as soon as we can, and crashing there in 4th gear on a yellow tile. -1 coast die. We do have a lot of them. Not ideal though, certainly not to get through this next corner with ease. And I think we already have a time that is beatable on our next run. We are starting to see some clouds appearing overhead. So we are not in fourth gear as we planned, which means getting through on the inside in first gear is a lot easier. But we've lost a coast die, which means this next corner is just one space too far away from doing something that we wanted to do. So we can keep our speed up by going into fifth gear in that space, and we'll have to go the long way. Let's roll those flat out and hope for the best. We're going to get 2 hazards, very close to losing control again already. So let's break down to third gear to obey speed limit and use our 2 available coasts to get out of that corner. We can then get into fourth and then into fifth. I think that's the best that we can do. It's a risk to go flat out. Let's take that risk. Let's hope our bad luck is behind us. Just the 1 hazard on fourth gear. We finish in fifth gear. Another 5 seconds back for going flat out. We're going to check the weather once more, and it is a 6, which means it moves 1 space. The clouds get thicker, the rain is on its way, and we are going to break down to third gear to try and get through as much of this stage as we can. So we're going to cut through this shortcut and then there in fifth. That'll be good for the time. Perhaps not setting ourselves up well for the next few corners, and of course we are risking making that corner a bit trickier for future runs. I then am going to take too much of a risk and go flat out once more, and we are going to get a flawless set of dice that puts us into fifth gear. However, we are going to need to see what the shortcut token is. And that will be -1 coast die. We have lost another coast die going through that shortcut. Maybe puncture-proof tyres are what we need on the next run. We'll have a think about that as we go into the next round. I want to break down to third gear there. We could break down to first gear for the inside. We do have 1 coast left, which we can use there. I don't think it'll set us up very well though, so I think if we go into second and then boost into fourth, that might be better for us. Let's do that. Let's not think about it too much. Let's go 1 by 1 because we have 2 hazards. Breaking down to third gear. We're going to break down to first successfully. There we go. We're going to roll the second, and we are going to pay for this boost up to fourth gear. That's 3 seconds to secure fourth gear. The clouds are getting thicker. It is still a dry race. Let's see how we get through this technical section in the middle. We are going to break down to second gear, third, fourth. I think that's all we're going to do. We are going to roll those flat out and hope for the best. And we're going to get a flawless set of dice there. Another fourth gear finish, giving us options if we want to go through the shortcut or not. And I don't think we do. I think we want to break down to first gear on the inside, and then we can go into second, third through the next shortcut, fourth, and then fifth. We're going to see how far through that we get rolling 1 by 1. Hazard on a break die. Gear 2 is good. Gear 3 through the shortcut is good. But what do we lose, if anything, through the shortcut? We are okay through that shortcut. We're going to roll the 4. That is our second hazard. We are going to pay to secure a fifth gear finish. And we are going to hope that the rain comes sooner rather than later. We are into the hysteresis spaces, but it is still a dry race. Let's break down to third gear to obey the speed limit then. We're going to use our 1 and only remaining coast die in order to get through the rest of that corner. I think we are going to drop to second into first gear, and unfortunately we're going to sit there in first. Let's go flat out on these, get some seconds back. We're going to boost up to third and then go into fourth gear there and then fifth gear like that. And that is all that we can manage on this turn. We're going to roll those flat out and hope for the best. No hazards there. We finish in 5th gear. We are going one space back towards the sunshine. That is not what we wanted, but I'm sure we can deal with it. We need to use a boost die if we want to coast in 5th gear there. From there, we can go into 4th gear like that. We can drop to 3rd, but we don't want to, of course, because we don't have our second boost die yet. So let's go into 5th, and let's hope for another flawless set of dice to generate some seconds back. We get 3 seconds and a 5th gear finish. We've got another climb coming up, so we want to be in 5th gear there. We can manage it by going 3rd, 4th, 5th, and then we can maintain 5th gear with a boost and a coast die like that. Let's roll those flat out. I think we're on a good run. We've got just the one hazard and another 5th gear finish. It is still not a wet race. Maybe round 2 should have been our wet weather setup. I couldn't quite fit the rest of the stage into the shot, but you can take my word for finishing the next turn in 5th before dropping down to 2nd gear to reach the finish line, which was easily done for a finish of 5 minutes flat, less the 49 seconds that we had gathered going flat out, giving us a personal best to beat of 4 minutes and 11 seconds. What have we learned about our dashboard? Well, we never did use that second boost die thanks to the track remaining dry, so I wonder if we need it at all on the next run. I think if we remove dice, we'll be in a better position to go flat out, and I do like going flat out. Before the second attempt then, we have rolled for the weather, and it is finally a wet race. We've also randomly determined that the finish line tile and this tile in between the climb tiles have fog tokens on them, so that's an extra hazard that we will take whenever we put a die down onto that tile. With that in mind, I have taken off a couple of dice from my dashboard. We are going to lose a boost die and a brake die, and that will free up spaces for extra hazards. So our loss of control limit in the wet is now 6 hazards. In the dry it is 4. So we are hoping that the weather gets even worse. We are not as nimble up and down through the gears, but it means that I can go flat out an awful lot more often without worrying about that final hazard causing us to spin out. So our start in round 2 is very much the same. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and a bunch of coasts. We are going to hope to get to that first corner without all of these being hazards. That would be quite an embarrassment for this setup. Let's see what we do. We have gotten a flawless set of dice and a 5th gear finish, 8 seconds back for going flat out. We want to break down to 3rd gear around the outside. We don't want to go through the shortcuts until our final run. We're then going to coast out into 2nd gear, boost up to 4th. We have space to finish in 5th, but we don't have the brakes to get down to 2nd on the next turn. So we are going to end there in 4th gear. And of course we have a load of hazards as our loss of control limit. We're going to roll just the one on 4th gear as we finish here. 20 seconds down the track, less the seconds we got back for going flat out. That's another 6 seconds off our time. Going 4th there, break down to 2nd, coast as far as we can, out the other side. We are then going to go into 3rd gear and boost up to 5th gear like that. Once again, let's go flat out. Wet conditions, 6 hazard limit, yes please. There are 3 hazards for our turn, not enough for a loss of control. 7 seconds back for having gone flat out, and I am liking this setup. Let's go flat out on those. 3 more hazards, not enough for me to worry about. Let's do that then, let's boost up to 5th. We've got 2 hazards, not enough to lose control. You know the drill by now. We have 5 seconds back as this monstrous machine makes its way up the mountain. Through the next corner like that, ending 3rd, boost up to 5th. But doing that would mean that we are going through those shortcuts on this run and potentially making it dirtier for the next. So the alternative is to go around the outside like this and then I think get up to 5th gear there. That's going to be better for us in terms of preserving the track for our next run. And of course, in run 3, we're not going to be concerned about the state of the shortcuts. But we are for now, as we finish once again in 5th gear with 6 seconds back. The showers are in full flow as we break down to 3rd gear. Again, we can go through the shortcut if we want to, but we want to preserve the stage for later. I think we can end there in 4th, and that will mean breaking down to 2nd. We'll take a few turns to get through this next section, but hopefully we'll be fast enough to score a PB. Just the one hazard. We finish in 4th gear for a change. Let's break down to 2nd gear then. Coast through like that. What we could do is drop to 1st, boost up to 3rd gear and finish in 4th there. I think that would be the best course of action. Again, we can go flat out. We've got 6 hazards to worry about. We only roll 3 of them on the 3 easiest dice to not get hazards on, as is typical. A 4th gear finish. The weather is not moving in this round, which means we can coast through this corner in 2nd, drop to 1st. We want to boost up to 3rd gear, into 4th gear, and then into 5th gear. And if we want to generate more seconds, we'll go around the outside in 1st gear like that. That is all of our dice. Let's see what they roll. Do they roll 6 hazards? They roll 4 of them. That would usually spell disaster for a great many of these cars, but not mine, not today. We finish in 5th gear. If we break to 3rd, going uphill, we can then shove these dice down a space like that. Except that we can't do that. It seems that after a few rereads of the climb rules and a trip to the BGG forums to pose this question to the Rallyman community, the only way that you can use a break die on a climb tile is when you want to slow down the rate of your descent by using it alongside a coast die. Similarly, the only way you can use a boost die is to pair it with a coast die, as we've done so here, to extend the distance you travel in a gear by 1 space before being forced to reduce your gear, should there still be an ascent to climb up. So, long story short, we're using the boost die correctly in our runs, but the break die incorrectly. There's no explicitly written penalty for any instances where you do end up breaking the rules by braking like this, but the one that has been suggested is a turn ender, just like the water hazards, and if that's the case, we'll add some penalty time where necessary to compensate. Not that anyone else is affected, of course. I've been consistently incorrect today and probably will be again in the future, but I like to be as accurate as I can be wherever possible. All that makes sense? Great, back to the video. And that'll set us up for the next climb tile a little better. Let's go flat out, remembering that if we roll 5 hazards, we are going to lose control. Thanks to the fog, we've got 2 hazards, nowhere near worried. The storms have arrived. It is time for the real life race to have been called off, but not for us. We're going to repeat that. We're going to break down 3rd, boost with a coast die to maintain 3rd gear up the climb, and then going into 4th, and then another coast, and then into 5th, and we can stay around the outside in 5th, I think. That will maximise our dice. Let's roll those flat out. 2 hazards, another 5th gear finish, another 6 seconds, and I'm swimming in focus tokens. As I'm sure you could imagine, I earned another load crossing the finish line in 5th. We have indeed broken our PB, smashed it even, finishing just a second over 2 minutes, or a second over 3 minutes if we factor in some climb associated penalties, highlighting both how disastrous a loss of control and damage tokens can be, and how useful a high loss of control limit is. But in order to break this new personal best, what do we change? Do we even want to touch our dashboard and instead try to squeeze out some extra seconds somewhere on the track, be it by using more drifting spaces or more shortcuts? We're not concerned about the state of the track anymore, so shortcuts are an option if we feel like we can get through them without losing any coast dice. Decisions. The weather is as bad as it can get. The fog has started to move down the stage, so it's on the climb tile and the last corner. And we have given ourselves quite the challenge to try and set a PB. And for that, I need 6th gear. And I think for safety, I also need an extra brake die. So that means 2 brake dice, 1 boost, 6th gear. And that of course fills up my dashboard and removes 2 hazards. So we have a hazard limit of 4 in wet conditions, which these very much are, and should by some miracle it become sunny, we have a hazard limit of 2. So I don't think anything good will come from that, should the weather move in that direction. We can of course go through all the shortcuts, because we don't care about messing up the track. We will run the risk of losing coast die in the process, so that's a gamble that we may choose to take. Let's set ourselves up like that for the first turn into 6th gear and then a couple of coasts. We are looking for 3 or fewer hazards. 4 is our loss of control limit, of course. We finish in 6th gear and we get 8 seconds back for having done that. We are already up on our personal best. Do we break down through the shortcut with brake 3rd, and then we can coast out like that, and we can boost up to 5th in order to secure a strong finish there, and hopefully we won't pick up any damage through this shortcut. Let's find out as we go and roll 3 hazards. Not enough to lose control, closer than I would have liked. Our shortcut token is a mud token, we are not concerned about that. So we're going to break down to 2nd gear around the outside. We can get up to 6th and break down to 3rd, so let's try to do that. We need to be in 5th and then 4th, that needs a boost. And I think that is what we are going to roll. This is riskier. It's quite risky actually. So hopefully 4 hazards do not reveal themselves. 3 hazards again, we were very close. That gets us a 6th gear finish and 6 seconds back. I think we're going to have to go 4th and then boost into 6th gear. That will give us options. We can still go down to 3rd gear and then coast through this next corner to keep the speed up. If there are problems, we can go through the shortcut, of course. Yep, I think that's good. We're going to go flat out. We're going to hope for the best. There are still a few too many bad dice. 3 hazards. That seems to be what we are rolling these days, which is good when you have 4 hazards before a loss of control. We are going to break down to 3rd gear on the inside. We're going to use all of our coast dice while we still have them to get through the next corner there. Now we're going to have to think about our ending gear. We can be in 5th there to go around the outside or to cut through the shortcut in 2nd gear on the next turn. So I think we will do that. We'll put ourselves into 5th gear and we will roll those flat out. Good job that wasn't in the tray. We get just the 1 hazard. We get 6 seconds back and a 5th gear finish. We're going to break down to 2nd gear through this first shortcut. It would be nice if we could end there in 6th. That would need a 5th or a 4th over there somewhere. We could go through another shortcut in 3rd and then boost up to 6th. There's no other way of doing that unless we end in 5th and be a bit more conservative. But given this setup, who wants to be conservative? Let's go flat out to try to end in 6th. We're going to go through 2 shortcuts along the way. Hopefully there's no bad luck. We get 2 hazards and 2 shortcuts. So our first shortcut is okay, and our second shortcut is okay. We are doing brilliantly on this 3rd run. We check the weather once more. The weather does nothing as we expected it to, and we are going to be going through more shortcuts. We have no cares in the world about doing so. We do have to break down 3rd gear to get that done though. That's coast, coast, through the next shortcut, another coast, or do we want to get up through the gears? I think we probably do. Fourth, boost into sixth. Will that slow us down around the next section? We could break down to third, coast, drop to second, coast to coast. We'll be stuck in second without a boost to get us out of the way. Let's see, I think it's probably going to be better if we end in fifth and then we drop to second, coast, first, third, fourth, fifth, something like that. Let's not think about it too much. Let's go straight in and get through another two shortcuts. Just the one hazard. We finish in fifth gear. We have gotten another OK. And we have gotten another OK. We are doing really rather well. Let's break down a second then, get through as many of these annoying corners as we can. We need to coast there. Oh yes, if we went on the outside, we get more coast dice to roll. Of course, that's more chance of losing control. Do I want to risk losing control at this stage? The alternative is to roll 2 fewer dice. These are safe dice. I have 4 hazards. What am I concerned about? Let's go into overdrive. We've got 2 hazards. I think we were also on this tile, weren't we? So we get another hazard from the fog. Not enough to lose control. Glad I rolled those extra dice. That gets us 2 extra seconds back on the clock. We finish in 5th gear. We want to stay in 5th, drop to 4th. We can then go into 5th gear, coast, coast, and then up to 6th gear. And that will be our best course of action. We're going to go flat out once again. On to the next climb tile. We have just the one hazard, a 6th gear finish. And I'm pretty sure we have set a PB, but we do have to cross the finish line first. The next turn saw us deal with another spot of fog and a shortcut, both causing us no issues, and no incorrectly used brake dice there either, ultimately allowing us to speed over the finish line in 6th gear. What a run! I earned so many second tokens there that I halved my time, 2 minutes 10 on the time cards, 1:05 in the seconds pile, a final run time and new personal best on this stage of 1 minute and 5 seconds. Where oh where can improvements be made from here? I bet there are some, but I don't know where to begin looking for more. Maybe you'll have better luck in seeing new lines through the stage or know of a dashboard layout that will get you past this finish line in less than a minute. I suppose the real question to ask ourselves is, can we achieve this kind of time consistently while sharing the stage with other players? Is this dashboard layout actually useful, or were we just lucky with it? While I have climbed O'Daly's recreation of Pikes Peak a couple of times, I've not really sat down and actually thought about the construction of my dashboard over a set of 3 runs up a hill before, and still haven't done so when directly competing against opponents who perhaps have no qualms about taking the shortcuts much earlier. So there's still a staggering amount of variables for me to discover in Rallyman. What about you? If you're looking to explore another unfathomable amount of possibilities with this game, consider looking into the climb expansion and the unlimited dashboards, before hoping to get through enough practice during the first 2 runs to know what to do for the third. No silly mistakes now.